Hi, it's Kathy from Raven Vintage. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and I can't sleep. So I thought I'm just going to get up and go to my craft room because I, for some reason, am wide awake. What's going on? I don't understand why I'm so awake. It could be because the day before yesterday and I wasn't feeling well and I slept like almost 24 hours. Maybe I've just, I got a little extra in the bank. I don't know. And I'm ready to just keep going. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, today's project, I told you we were going to move on from the attic papers. And I've been going through some journals that I'm been shipping out. And I'm just double checking some of these. You know, sometimes things need fixing. And I was just breezing through, look at that velvet paper. Love that wallpaper. That's so nice. Anyways, Odette. This is Odette. And I thought that that would be a nice paper to use. I wanted to do some Dutch doors, which seem to be having a resurgence lately. They're popular all of a sudden again on in our circle. So I thought, well, let's just do some Dutch doors then. So I have an envelope that I just cut off the sides, real narrow strip. I think they're still here. Like a very narrow strip off the two sides of the envelope. This is about 5 by 7 so that we end up with this. We've done this many times. And the Odette kit is a real, like a neutral kit in that it's very muted, almost watered down with just a slight nod to pink. It's a very light kit. Like that's the most colorful page in the kit. And I think that's, yeah, that's the one I want to use. And I believe I want to use this one. And maybe this one. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. But this one, my paper was in a little crooked and it chewed, got caught up and did this fun thing, but that's okay. I can still use the edge. That's quite okay. And I want to do this way, and I'm going to keep that flap down for now, but let's start with the front. So let me see what gets cut off here. This needs to be trimmed up a little bit, obviously. got chewed. About 3 of them did. That's okay. We'll salvage it. So I'm just going to take off about that much. And then we'll just do a fussy cut around. Let's see how tall this is going to be. Right to the bottom of that flower. That's perfect. So what do you do when you wake up at night and you can't get back to sleep? Like, I just don't want to, I don't want to take anything, or, you know, thought I could read. I know the wrong thing to do is to scroll, so I thought, well, I'm not going to go on my phone because I know that's not a good thing to do when you're, that gets the brain going. So I think my brain got going just from trying to think of ways to go back to sleep. And then I was up, so then Ruby was up, and then she thought, oh, well, why don't we go outside then? So she went outside to do her business, which she hardly ever gets up in the night, once in a while. But hardly ever does she ever bother me to go outside through the night. Kind of lucky that way. she also sleeps in every day. Like, and when she gets up, it still takes her half an hour or so before she wants to go outside to do her business. I can't believe it. She's got the best dog bladder around. I honestly just think it's lazy. She's just lazy. Okay. So we are going to do that there. I should have just glued it on the envelope first and cut it at the same time, but that's okay. I don't have those, what are they called? Gyro scissors or gyro knife. I'm not sure what it's called. The little scrolling cutter knife. I don't have one of those. Not yet. That'll be on the list. Before I ink that, I think I'll glue it down and then cut it in case I end up trimming some of it off. That makes sense. So I ended up yesterday, I did my video and I forgot to upload it until like, I don't know what time it was, late in the evening, and they sometimes take a few hours to upload depending on the length. Thank goodness it wasn't too long of one, but yeah, if you noticed, I was very late in posting my video yesterday. I just simply forgot. I did my filming, I did my editing, and that was all done by, I don't know, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. And then just straight up forgot to upload it to YouTube. I did jump right into a live after that, so that could be why. I don't know. I thought about doing another live with showing a few more of those journals, but I think maybe people are sick of that by now, so I will just do a couple posts, I think. All right. Now, when you do Dutch doors, I don't know if you start with the back page or the front page. I like to start with the front page. There, see, I'm going to cut that a little closer in some spots, I think. So maybe gluing it, then cutting it is a good idea. I got part of my grass cut last night, like earlier this evening. It's the first time I cut it this season. It's really long in the backyard. The front yard wasn't so bad. But I have an electric lawnmower, which is great for me because then I don't have to go back and forth to the gas station to get gas. And I don't have to keep a gas can around and mess with all of that. And also I don't have to worry about a pull start. So an electric start is just like a little button. It's so much easier. And it's a nice light lawnmower as well. So I actually had one and then I ended up getting one with a wider deck. So I'm going to sell the smaller one. And it's just perfect for me. If you were a single gal and you need to cut your grass, I would highly recommend that. Investing in an electric one. A little more money up front at the beginning, but you never have to buy gas. You just charge your batteries in the house. Very simple. They just charge, I don't know, I just plug them in at night and wake up in the morning, they're charged, so they probably don't take that long actually. And they're quiet. It's not that loud. And they do a fabulous job. They cut the grass just fine. Mine came with a bagger. if you need to bag it, your grass. No, it does a great job. And it's got the levels for, you know, how high you want to cut it and whatnot. So very pleased with it. So technically this is going to be the next page. So it is a little busy, isn't it? Maybe her. Oh yeah, let's do. What's that going to look like? Yeah, I like that. Let's just do her right to the edge. It's a little wide, but do I want top or bottom? Kind of center. Okay, well, we can do that. I remember a few years ago when my husband at the time he worked away quite a bit, and I was home alone a lot. And if there was often nights I would wake up and couldn't get back to sleep back then, and I would just sometimes get up and just craft for a couple hours and then go back to bed. I just find it very relaxing. So it's not too unusual for me to get up and jump into my craft room. Do you guys do that? I don't know that I've ever got up at 2 o'clock in the morning and filmed a video. So I've got my desk lamp on and my overhead room light on, so it's got this glare on here on my desk. Sorry about that. What does this look like? I should have moved that over a little bit. That's okay though. I feel like I just want to cut her too. I just might do that. I'm going to. And add another envelope. Why not? We can do whatever we want, right? Just get a little bit closer with her. That's better. I like that. So now she's peeking through. So we're just going to add another page. And then we'll glue that down this way. And then there can be a pocket underneath. Fun? Fun. Okay, so we need something for the background here. And for some reason I had this in mind. The tree, but it's, I'll tell you what I'm looking for. There, I like that. Okay. I'm going to glue this on first. So do you see I have the envelope folded backward? Folded back. The flap, I mean, is back, folded back. And then I'm just going to attach this as if it was one single page. Okay, then when I glue this down, my paper can come right across and I can cut it there. So that we'll trim that now. Yeah, it's coming together nicely. And then we'll need something for the back of this page. This one. I'm going to use these guys here for a second. It's been a lot of fun going through some journals that I haven't looked at in a while, because you forget all the beautiful work you've done unless you keep all your journals. I have a video I talk about that, my style of journaling. I'm more of a list person, and I have hordes and hordes of notebooks. And one day, now that I'm retired, I'm going to go through those notebooks and perhaps compile them into one. Oh, I like that. That's cute. I like that very much. I just wish I had brought that little girl out a little further so you could actually see her more, but that's very pretty. Yes, I mentioned the other day I'm just itching to start a new journal. I'm also anxious to do some more kits. And there's been a request to do something with, a couple of requests actually, to do something with the travel bug kit. So I think that's what we'll do. I'll just do a standard journal, start to finish, show you how I make my covers, and I will use that travel bug kit. I want to add a bunch of vintage elements to it as well. Oh, look at that. See if I can get that lined up right there. Right where it almost goes together, but so I trimmed a little bit off. And fussy cut one more time. That's okay. Oh, my envelope isn't on straight. That's okay. It's all practice, right? Book of ideas. So I mentioned it to someone in the live today, earlier, about Monica was saying that she's, fairly new to junk journaling, and I always recommend a practice book, because it's very frustrating to make a journal and you're, halfway through and then you do something that you feel you've botched it up. So either you can tear out that page, no one's going to know that it was there and now it wasn't. But I also recommend practicing. So either getting like a notebook, like a composition notebook, just from the dollar store, and practice some of your techniques on those pages. And if you don't want to waste good paper, that's where magazines would come in handy, because you can just use up those magazine pages that we wouldn't normally use in a journal because they're too shiny, but no harm in using them for practice. Or use those scrapbook papers that you think that you don't like so much. Like, for example, just so you can get your technique down. Like I tend to have a bunch of pages when I grab scrapbook paper bundles from when I'm thrifting or Facebook Marketplace or something, and there's always like pet ones or just too cartoonish, you know, commercial cartoonish types, and it's just, I just don't ever use those. Not my style. So use those up. Use those papers up that you would not normally put in a journal that you're going to use for yourself or gift or sell. So I've fussy cut the same shape here 3 times, so should have been smart enough to glue both sides at once and then fussy cut once. Oh well, that's okay. So we have a bubble, our glue, now we ink. Yeah, so it's a little quiet craft along with me. Just very relaxed. And I don't know if I'm going to stay up all night or if I am going to attempt to go back to bed. Time will tell. So inking the edges gives that a little depth. There's a little bit of that print mishap, but it actually looks just fine. I feel like I could trim that off and no one's going to care. It's a little extra part of the envelope that's showing and not lined up so well. And this, you know what, this actually works out good because tomorrow I'm going to do a little more filming on my 5,000 subscriber celebration video. It's not a long one. It's just I really wanted to cover a few things in that in the content of it. So it's more of a thinker one. There's just some people I want to thank for how we got here. Tell my story a little bit. It's interesting. When I was actually looking through old photos, there's a couple photos I wanted to use in my video, and I saw the date of them, and I thought I've been making junk journals longer than that. I honestly thought, but I know I would always get hung up on that when people would say, how long have you been making junk journals for? I'm like, 5 or 6 years. Well, you know what? It hasn't been 5 or 6 years. It's been 5 years. Well, now I'm tripping on that. I'm not sure. I'll have to check again. But I figured, I know when I saw the video, and I know after from Jessica from Paper Terrace, the very first time I ever heard of a junk journal. I had, before that, been making, decorating notebooks. It's the only way I can think of to describe it. And I was just something I thought to do. I didn't know about people with their planners and junk journals and stickers and all the things. It was just something I thought of doing just because I was such a notebook person, right? But anyway, my first actual junk journal I made for my husband at the time, like a first full journal I ever made. So that was the picture I was looking to date, so I could get a date on when was the first time I actually made a full junk journal. So interesting, right? And then during COVID, I was laid off from work, so that's when I really dove in a little bit more. But I've done other crafts. Over the years, I had a Cricut machine. I did a lot of upcycled vintage stuff. I had an antique booth where I had a mix of antiques, vintage, and my upcycled vintage. One of my most favorite things to do was to use my Cricut machine and do the vinyl cutouts with the words, for example, and put them on like a vintage globe or a vintage painting. I did the signs and stuff for a while too, like the wooden signs with the stencils, but yeah, a lot of fun. Just, it didn't hold my interest the way junk journaling has. Okay, so we need to add some pretty paper. Right here. I think lots to pick from in here because of the neutrals. Just going to see what's going to look best. Don't really want to cover her up for any particular reason. These are good. A little too matchy-matchy. That one, possibility. That's a good possibility. This one's going to be too matchy-matchy. That's the one I use for the cover of the journal. Maybe I'll do that one because I don't intend on making another journal anytime soon, so let's do that. So when I have these in my kits as a journal, if you're just making a signature, so you've got a signature cover, but if you are using it for a journal cover, I added some gold around here. I would, here's a trick. I would cut this in half to fit the front, so it'd go that far, but then see what you're left with, not enough for the back. So I would basically cut this right down the middle. I would print this twice, actually. Print that page twice. I put the one piece on the front, the other piece, this left side, on the back. And then on the second copy that I print, I cut it a little wider to make the spine. So it's not quite wide enough to do it all in one shot, so I'd have to print it twice and then cut the spine. So that piece right there is from the same thing, just not all one print. I had to print this twice to be able to cover everything. That's just a little tip. A tip, unsolicited advice, stuff you didn't ask about. Right? It's going to be right to the edge, I think. Yeah. Our book's starting to get awkward again. I don't know how well that's going to stick down, but let's go with that. Okay. So maybe not true Dutch doors in the way that you would still have, I guess you do still have writing space here. We could write in there. There's not writing space here necessarily, but that's the idea, right? Of the Dutch doors. Doing your edges, and that's really pretty, actually. I'm kind of pleased with that. So nice to see Odette. I haven't seen her in a while. So this was day 76. This will be day 77. Or night 77. I'm going to put it right in here. Dutch doors. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out with me while I can't sleep. I appreciate it. I will get this video edited, and it'll be ready for you bright and early in the morning for a change instead of super late. So I went from super late tonight, or earlier tonight, to super early tomorrow morning. All right. Have a great night, morning. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.